我们众所周知，广告的投入呢是游戏收益的有效手段之一。数据也证明，广告的投入力度通常与游戏收益成正比，而用户体验呢，通常是一款产品成败的根基。如何平衡移动广告收益与用户体验，是我们大家共同关注的热点问题。下面就有请本次巅峰对话的主持人 Appsflyer 的 Head of Marketing Run， 以及 MobPartner 的 GM of North America Aurelie， Madhouse 的 Chief Product Officer Clement， 多盟的国际业务部副总祝玉林， LoopMe 的 Co-founder and CEO Steven。 大家掌声有请各位。
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. So this panel will talk about a very interesting issue, which is the balancing between the user and ad experience of mobile games. So I would let the honorable panelists introduce themselves.
I'm Clement, the Chief Product Officer of Madhouse, and we do both domestic brandings in China as well as international app marketings. And our recently announced product called PerformMad. It's an ROI optimization platform to work with all those different channels, including Facebook and Google. So looking forward to learn something more. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Stephen Upstone. I'm the CEO of LoopMe, and we're the largest mobile video DSP. So LoopMe runs video ads that are full screen video, also native video ads, and pre-roll video and rewarded video. So we have all the ad formats. In terms of working with China, we recently announced partnerships with Cheetah Mobile and Go Launcher to run native video ad formats with them. And the other thing that's different about LoopMe, I guess, is that we are very strong in data targeting. So we have our own DMP, or data targeting platform, and we also have our own artificial intelligence technology.
Hi, my name is Aurelie Guerrieri. I'm the General Manager for North America for MobPartner. MobPartner is, as of earlier this month, now a Cheetah Mobile company, so we're very proudly Chinese now. We are a global performance marketing company, and Cheetah Mobile has been a publisher of ours for the past couple years. We work with many publishers in all of the major mobile verticals: gaming, utilities, anywhere from social to all the way down to travel and mobile commerce, and with corresponding advertisers. And I guess Cheetah Mobile was pretty happy with what we were able to do with them in terms of user monetization. So I'm looking forward to this panel.
大家好，我是多盟的国际业务部的祝玉林。Hello everyone, this is Simon Zhu from Domob. 我想可能很多中国的这个听众可能对多盟还是了解比较多，所以我后面用英文把多盟的情况向国际友人们介绍一下啊。Domob is actually established in 2010 and is nearly 5 years right now, and we are right now the Forbes top 30 mobile internet companies in China. We ranked the number 28, and our year revenue is $100 million last year, and we raised around 3 rounds of investments and totally $50 million. And right now we have a DSP and ad network in China, and working together with branding and also performance advertisers, and working with SDK integrated with most of the publishers to help them monetize. And also we work with some hero apps and also exchanges in China to contributing to our DSP traffic, and also we start to going abroad for more business globally, helping Chinese advertisers out of China, and also trying to bring overseas advertisers acquire users in China. So thank you very much to have this chance to share some ideas with us, with everyone. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So my name is Avrahamy. I'm the head of marketing at Appsflyer. We're a mobile advertising analytics company. We're the leading platform for mobile attribution analytics in the world. We operate in China. We have a Beijing office. And we help advertisers understand their channels better so they can track, measure, and optimize their campaigns. Okay. So we have a panel, a very diverse panel of executives from ad networks. I want to start talking about the journey of mobile game experience. What do you guys think both publishers and advertisers should do to keep the balance between the user and the ad experience?
Okay, I will take the first, I guess. So hopefully the rest of the panel can shed more light on that. I think first of all, before we dive into ROI versus user experience, let's really define ROI means, especially in China markets, right? So my experience previously in Guerrieri, the Japanese public companies in mobile networks, which the global branch in Silicon Valley's acquisition from OpenFans and such. So in China, I think currently the definition of ROI is still at the spending point, right? The purchase point, 就是这个支付点. I think in US and the advanced country has been moving forward from a point to the line as looking at how do you really optimize from a purchase point, the moments towards the whole life cycle, the whole lifetime value of the users. So if we're looking at from a point to a line levels and moving even more definition broader, so to the publishers like Guerrieri and many other large publishers, you might have certain small portion of your self-developed games, as well as your invest partnership games, as well as your third-party labels, those kind of strategic partners games in your networks. So that's sometimes up to hundreds of games. So if you look at the network level of the ROI, it's not only just the purchase point, 支付点哈，那个用户那一个时间点， and it's not just that audience, how do they make the whole lifetime value for that game? 也不是它在这个游戏终身的价值而已，那条线。It's more so that how do we really define, capitalize on the whole network perspective? 在整个 publisher 版上所有的这100个游戏中，这个用户还能不能在整个面上 ？So looking at the surface level or the broader level. For all the 100 games, how do we capitalize the ROI? So I like to just clarify my understanding of ROI first before learning something more.
But maybe I would also like to add the difference, because you mentioned very large publishers, and I'm sure that in the audience there's a mix of large and small publishers, indie developers also. Also, I would like to see your perspective about the difference between those different types of publishers.
And Clement is right, because the problematic when you're a very, very large developer is a scalability problematic. So, you know, in the life cycle and growth of a publisher, originally, typically you launch a game, and you hope it's going to work, and you hope you're going to get some organic installs, and that's going to get you some data in terms of monetization. And you're going to be able to refine your gaming experience, refine your user experience to find the right balance at that time between user engagement and monetization, whether it's in-app purchases or advertising monetization. And as you grow that money, you're able to reinvest it into user acquisition and then grow your games and invest in more games. And so the problematic then becomes very different when you have a portfolio of games or when you have very, very large games to optimize for. And at this point, most publishers that we work with focus on literally no more than a handful of partners because they cannot manage more complexity than that, and because retaining control over the user experience is so important for them as you think about developing a brand and as you think about developing a relationship with users from one game to another. So that's, the series of games, the sagas of games, for example. The brand experience and the brand consistency become very important, and frankly, also the trustworthiness of the partners that the publishers work with really matters. So there's a level of concentration as the publisher scales, less experimentation, and also more scalability.
Yeah, I think there are two things that really can impact user experience. The first is the format, so the type and look of the ad. And the second is the use of data targeting and to optimize which ads are shown to which different customers at which points in time. So the format is decided by the publisher in consultation with any of these kind of companies. I guess our vision from LoopMe is that more and more all ad formats will tend towards video. And we believe that this is because video is the strongest way to engage with consumers. It has the ability to convey emotion and humor and sound. And if you think about even WeChat, or those of you who might see Facebook, over the last year or so, more and more, everything has moved from being text, then to images, and now to video. So video is the most powerful format to engage with consumers, and it also accesses the largest advertising budgets. So today, mobile advertising is about $20 billion US, whereas video brand TV is $200 billion US. So it's 10 times bigger market. So we think that the format that engages most strongly with consumers is video, and that you should then decide which type of video experiences to include within your apps or your websites, and then the next consideration is data targeting. That's our vision.
I want to try to, firstly, I agree with Stephen strongly, because we saw a huge trend transforming from banner interstitials into video ads. And also the trend is recognized from both advertiser and the publisher side, trying to input more videos into from the budget. But I want to share some information from the other perspective, which is who really care about user experience. Because everybody wants to monetize, of course. Advertisers, we in the middle, and the publishers. But who really cares about the user experience? From two sides. The first one, advertisers cares about user experience. They care most about what their brand exposure shows, in which kind of media, or who is the target audience. They care a lot about how the user will feedback about their brand information. And on the other side, the publishers or the game developers, they are very cared about the user experience, because they need to make a decision what kind of business model the application they are doing now. They are trying to make money from users by in-app purchase, or they want to make money from in-app advertising with us, to accept more advertisers banners shown up to make money from networks. I think advertisers will take care of the audience targeting, the media targeting, as well as what kind of ad formats from their impression perspective, and also we need to work very close with publishers. Have you already made your decision what kind of the money you will make from users or advertisers? If you made the decision, let's work out to find the best ad formats to better improve your monetization, as well as to keep your users staying in your application. That's my idea.
That's a very good point, and there's also a third party that is very interested in user experience, which are the users. I mean, they want to get better experiences. Just maybe I want to make an experiment for the Q&A session. rather than just going, if you want to WeChat me, preferably in English, but also in Chinese, we can translate it here. You can send me questions, and I'll just ask them in the end of the session. It's RANVR85. Let's try experiment. Now, talking about ad formats, this is a very interesting topic because there are so many different ad formats nowadays. And Stephen mentioned maybe the hottest one or the one in the biggest trend. By the way, what are the flaws of video advertising? I mean, why aren't everyone using video advertising, video ads?
Yeah, I think that a couple of things have held back video in the past. First of all, the technical ability to actually launch video ads. So we launched native video ads with Cheetah Mobile and with Go Launcher, and the competitors were unable to provide this format. But actually, more broadly, there are advances happening in the handsets themselves and also with connectivity. So for a good user experience, you should ideally preload a video ad. Now, that requires normally a Wi-Fi connection. In some markets, also 3G or 4G is acceptable. So it has, in the past, been held back by the technical ability of the handsets. I think that is now moving. I think the other thing that held us back in the past was we didn't think outside the box. We just looked at online models, and we saw a banner ad, and we put the banner ad into the mobile experience. And actually, I'm also the chairman of the Mobile Marketing Association, and I was one of those people who was responsible 8 years ago for doing this, so I'm sorry. But I think it is now...
For these guys, I think they should thank you because it can bring them more money.
It is now the time that the adoption is moving very quickly towards richer and more video formats.
So I think when we're talking about ad format, we should stay away from the one-size-fits-all approach. Different user experiences, different apps, and different advertisers require customized ad experiences. And so that's why I don't think there's a magic native ad formats. I don't think there's a magic ad format in itself that would satisfy every single scenario in every single instance. It really depends what your goals are as a publisher, what your gameplay is like, what your user mindset is at, whether there's natural breaks in your gaming experience, what those breaks look like, and what are the relevant formats and advertising campaigns that make sense for your users at that standpoint. And coming back to the earlier point about data targeting, I don't think we've really stressed enough how much opportunity there is in better understanding your users along the entire journey and leveraging that by working hand in hand with the advertiser. So all the way from the publisher user data to the final advertiser information that it gets fed back to the publisher in terms of the quality of the advertising experience, what kind of results came out of it, not just, hey, we got a bunch of app installs from this, but actually we got the real kind of user, the right kind of users, engaged users that provide really good lifetime value. And using tracking solutions like Appsflyer, we can easily feed that back into the advertising platform, but I think it's not enough to feed that back into the networks like us. It needs to be fed back all the way to the publisher so that the publisher can optimize their advertising experience for each user. And frankly, that's one of the big reasons we are very excited to be part of the Cheetah Mobile family now, is having the ability to completely close the loop between user targeting, audience segmentation, audience information, all the way to post-install activity for our advertisers. So marrying publisher and advertiser data.
I want to ask all of you guys, because all of you are working with so many publishers. What do you usually recommend to those publishers to optimize, that balance, like Aurelie just said, that balance between, which type of ad format should you use? Again, like we just said before, different types of, even inside the game vertical, different types of games has different types of goals and strategies they should use. What do you usually recommend, or I would actually refer the question, how do you guys educate your clients, your customers, your partners in order to optimize this entire ecosystem of ad optimization?
I think we Domob did this kind of business 4 years ago, and together with from the banner era to interstitials to videos to natives and to some incentivized ad formats. We had some experience with all kinds of publishers. First of all, as I just mentioned, the publisher must make a decision at the very beginning. Do they want to make money from advertisers or make money from users? Most of our partners using our SDK have the idea to make money from advertisers. Some typical publishers like 糗事百科, in English, maybe that's kind of what a F day, some kinds of jokes. Yeah, such kind of applications, people are killing time to read, and we will always stick to them for banners in the bottom.
Why is that?
Because people are killing much of time during that, in that jokes and swipe and swipe, and we can change banners in the bottom, and sometimes users may click them or click them by mistake. But
that happens.
That is the easiest way for those publishers to make money, and they thought that their users maybe get used to that kind of ad experience, and we are pretty sure that those kinds of applications will contribute most of the impressions in the market. Yeah.
What you're saying is really interesting, because I think it raises the point of, do you want to put an ad where the user expects to see it, or do you want to surprise the user and be, really visible to them? And there's this balance that we, as representative of the advertisers, have to strike between banner blindness and between not interrupting the user experience, because we also represent the publishers, right? And so I think that's why over the years we have heard talking about native ad formats so much, because it feels like it's an interesting way to blend into the user experience an ad that comes in at the relevant time. I mean, we've been doing native before it was even a buzzword, so I hesitate using that as a name for what works. I think it's a question of format and it's a question of targeting, but if we're talking purely format, the answer is unique to each publisher because it depends on their exact user flow.
Yeah, I would agree with Aurelie. I think it's the people who best understand their product are usually the product people themselves, and you shouldn't say one size fits all. I do think that within the game category, though, where gameplay has natural pauses, there are two formats that are really winning very strongly. One is full page ad, and the other is rewarded video ad. I think these two are the formats that are the best combination of strong monetization and also good user experience. I think outside of games, native ads are also very, very strong in utilities and websites and other places. But in games, I think it's particularly strong on those two formats because you can communicate much more. It's actually very hard to communicate much within a banner. So actually a full page or a full page video ad allows a lot more information to the user, which actually is then a much more honest transaction with the user. He's not clicking by accident. He is looking, viewing, understanding, and engaging because of interest. And so I think that that has been the big change in gaming over the last 2 years or so.
Okay, so I kind of agree with some of your points here, but there's one thing we try to do it a little bit different, because given myself is also a gamer, so from users' perspective might be add an equation to here, right? So I believe that publishers, especially those quite experienced publishers, they actually know much more on how to define the ROI at the different stage of their new games, and what stage at this moment, how they're gonna focus more on grow the user base, and who are those users that are really previously they are big whale spenders. And for us, we actually designed a product in such philosophy that we actually let them define the equation on ROI ratio. So we do have a tracking tool that work complementing hand in hand as a great partner with Appsflyer. So Appsflyer is great on all those in-store activation and for the engagement activation. So for us, we actually have an ROI tracker, so all ROI tracking tools from our original Sigmat products. So what it does is that the publisher, they know the game well, they define that purchase ratio at that time, how we're gonna using that final score to then optimize across different channels, and then get to the point of, which I agree that native formats, like Aurelie is saying, right, it can be way beyond just UI, just the UI layer, but also the contextual layer. At the same time, from the game design perspective, it's also native from the user perspective, right? So at that moment, if you really reward something that they like, as I think Stephen was saying, that is also a native plus. It's not a sort of advertising has to be deducting point from the user experience. So sometimes it's actually a plus point.
Yes, actually, the reading applications, I said the banner may be good for them to monetize, to balancing user experience, but I'm quite sure that if it is not very suitable for gaming advertisers spending their money on those banners, right? But those banners may be still valuable for some e-commerce or some branding impressions, because e-commerce have some technology to target that audience, no matter what kind of application they are using right at that time. So, but if we are looking to some other kinds of like game developers, they are trying to monetize through advertising, like Temple Run or Popstar, those kinds of carol games. Maybe we can recommend them some more ad formats, like maybe you can not only use banners but also interstitials, and maybe your carol game is too light to afford a video advertising. Sometimes that's the case, right?
You're completely right. I think that publishers and advertisers, both sides of the coin here, you know, that we and the press usually are to be accused of pushing too much buzzwords into the air. You know, native advertising, you know, it's like if you're not using native advertising now, something is wrong with you. It's not. And, you know, everybody's saying banner is dead. It's not. Here, you guys have, I guess, many publishers using banner ads. And my suggestion maybe, you know, and this all goes back to data, is try it out. You know, decide on 2-3 different formats that you think that are suitable for your type of game or app, and try them out. Try them both on the retention level, if they interfere with the user retention. Look at your feedbacks. If many people are telling you, listen, those ads are annoying. Look also from the other side, from the monetization point of view. So, and we see lots of players, you know, choosing those 2-3 formats, putting the certain budget for a couple of weeks, several months, and trying it out. And because in the end of the day, everybody has a different types of a thing that can work for him. This is where we see it, and I would love to hear if you have anything to say about it.
Well,
disagree with me, please. I want
Sure.
more disagreement.
Well, unfortunately, I have to agree with you on that, but add to a point to that. So the topic we are talking about, it seems to assume that the ROI concern, the monetization's balance with user experience has to only put the publisher and advertiser into the fighting mode. But sometimes the publisher game design philosophy themselves on the background, right? The in-app purchase design has to do with that quite a bit on how you are milking the cow too early as well. So 在我们讨论的这种背景中，广告或者是我们的游戏开发商，但实际上在付费点的设计上也有很多需要考量 ROI 的一个是不是需要跟 user experience 平衡的。Well, a typical cultural game design trend, as we saw from the Western world, their game design is more towards the ultimate goal is if there's a balance between monetization and user experience, they always put monetization under the priority of user experience, right? They put user experience to the priority highest goal. The reason why, to my learning from there, is that, to be honest, monetization and ROI is actually one reality point of the overall user experience, because the user is facing that purchase point. The user is facing your ad as well as your in-app purchase. So thinking that perspective, ROI or monetization concern, it should be fitting to part of the overall user experience. I guess that's one of the points I should address.
I just kind of confused. Are we talking about ad user experience about ad and ad monetization, or user experience about monetization of in-app purchase? I think that's a different topic here.
It actually has to binding together when you calculate the ROI later on the lifetime value, and if you calculate across the games for the whole networks, it actually have to group them together. So the key point is that not only looking at from advertising point that it's stressing the user experience, but also to consider the overall monetization together, because at the end of the day, lifetime value, it is driving a lot on the late funnel, how the in-app purchase design is.
Just to add a little bit of disagreement maybe, I do think especially for games that the banner advert is dying. It's 20 years old, I think, as of last year, and if you look at the very big companies who have been leading in this area for a long time, the banner ads are starting to disappear. So even Facebook, if you look at the Facebook native ad, actually it is a full page ad. It has a nice frame around it, but actually it is a full page ad, and that ad works 10 times better than a banner ad. Twitter with MoPub is mostly also full page ads, and Twitter, their ads work 10 times better than banners as well. So the difference for Facebook is actually the size, not the native factor, it's the size of the ad. One other company in this area, Rovio almost started mobile gaming, I would argue. They were the first, the biggest. They made most of their money from selling toys and drinks and many other things. So actually, the brand of Rovio was much more important than the money they made from advertising. Rovio, about 18 months ago, stopped banner ads in their apps. They moved to just full page ads, and they did that because the user experience was stronger with full page ads. So I would say that I think the banner ad, especially for gaming, is dead or dying. I think for other categories, maybe it will continue. But I would like to try and bring the discussion back to something Aurelie mentioned earlier on data and the use of data targeting, because I think format is only part of the story. Which ads you actually show to the consumer is also a big part of user experience. And the questions you should be asking from your partners are, do they target ads? What data do they use to target ads? A good technology will learn not to show the same ad again to the user. A good technology will learn to show the most optimal ad to the user. And I think Aurelie is exactly right on this point. And I think Cheetah is one of the more advanced companies in this area. But you as game developers should also be taking advantage of stronger data targeting.
Maybe a question about that exactly is how many partners, network partners, do you actually think are in the space that can both affiliate the fill rate, enough fill rate and technology to do exactly what you just said?
Very few. I mean, frankly, Twitter, Facebook, us.
Even they don't have. There was a publisher I was talking with recently, and I think Facebook had less than 5% fill rate in Russia. So no one partner has all the answers. And I think, again, a big publisher has the obligation to work with different partners to increase fill rate and improve customer experience. How many of those people are actually using data in a serious way? In video advertising, there really are not. The competitors are not really using data targeting today. I think in broader mobile advertising, some are starting now, but I think it's still a lot earlier than it should be. And one other thing that I would ask of a partner is, do they not just use data targeting, do they actually use machine learning or artificial intelligence? Because you should make decisions in real time based on real-time feedback and real-time data streams. For instance, LoopMe sees 30 billion pieces of data every day. If we are not using machine learning to get advantage from this, then we are missing out on a big part of the story.
And I think the big message is, why do we care about data so much? Is because the entire industry is moving towards better user engagement. That's the theme of this panel. And a better user engagement is the convergence between a good brand experience as well as a good performance, good monetization. And there's no hard line between performance advertising and brand advertising anymore. That's done. Brand advertisers care about measuring engagement, measuring their impact, their marketing impact. And performance marketers care about their brands, you know, and one of the big reasons those small formats are disappearing is that bigger formats enable better engagement or better brand representation. And so none of our advertisers, even if they have a strong performance goal, don't care about their brand. They all want to reap the benefits of increased branding. And I think we've seen it recently with Supercell investing huge amount of money in a Super Bowl ad in the US. Those are some of the most expensive ads in the world. They're video ads that displayed on TV for the Super Bowl, and many people in the industry were puzzled as to why a game developer would spend millions of dollars.
4.5.
Exactly. Plus the video creation cost of that. All right, so it's a huge amount of money, and people were wondering that cannot back out to a good cost per install. Right?
I must refer it because actually just yesterday we launched a product that is specifically for that goal, is to help developers and advertisers measure those TV ads, because we see more and more all over the world. Advertisers are trying to go for TV ads because, you know, first of all, it works. It's working for 60 years now, maybe more. And now we can measure them, and we can identify the ROI and the CPI, actually, in some twisted way.
And to the point that we all made earlier around the evolution of a publisher, as you start looking at your portfolio of games and start wanting to transition users from one game to another, your brand recognition really matters, and the benefits that you get in terms of user engagement and organic user acquisition are reinforced by all these initiatives. And so every marketing channel should be working together, and the publisher is an integral part of it in bettering the user experience from the first interaction on.
Great point.
Okay, so I want to have one last very important question about what we talked before. I think that there are two very key takeaways that all of us should take from the session so far. Is one, that there is no such, one solution, one fits all solution, because many players, many people in the ecosystem are trying to find, asking me, all right, what works? And I'm saying to them, there is no one thing that works. Try it out, test it. You can go to several directions, but try it out. So no one fit all solution. And two, in my perspective, is that data is king, because data and targeting and tracking really can help you identify your goals. So the last question, we're getting short of time. So it's a funny thing to sit in this panel. It's great respect, but it's, we are 5 people from different places in the world. We have people from China, we have people from Europe, we have people from the US, from Israel. And we sit in a panel in Global Mobile Game Congress in China. And one very important question I really want to know is, why China? And what are we looking for here? And what do Chinese companies looking outside? What do you think about the entire?
Yeah, I came here first time 1 year ago to speak at GMIC, and so my experience is quite recent. But I think China is probably the most exciting market now globally, because you have some of the strongest app developers. So if you look at App Annie, the top 10, 5 of them are Chinese developers. Only 3 are from the US. So I think that for LoopMe, we come here to work with Chinese companies that are facing the globe. I think that Chinese companies will define the mobile age, because China is a mobile-first country. Most of the population of China, the first place they reach the internet is on their mobile phone, and there is a long history from Chinese companies in around mobile and mobile development. So I think that China companies like Cheetah Mobile and local data analytics companies like Talking Data have a very good opportunity to become the global leaders. And this is what attracts me to China. On a personal level, I think it's the most exciting place to do business. It's nowhere else can you be sat knowing that in 2 days' time, something new could have started. I think from a business perspective, it's the largest and most interesting market. And on a personal basis, it's just super fun to come here because it's so exciting.
I would really echo this. MobPartner has been operating in China for 2 years. And we came here because we saw a lot of app developers, game developers, utility developers that could use our services in going global. They were all very aggressively growing outside of the borders. And given that we have a very strong international network, that was the best way we could help them. On a very personal level, I will tell you, I've lived in Silicon Valley for the past 12 years. And I think Silicon Valley is probably not paying enough attention as to what's happening here from a mobile standpoint. I personally believe that the next big wave of innovation is coming from here. Real companies that scale, that have really good quality products. Because the Chinese market is mobile first, it's also very competitive. And so the products are honed in on the domestic market and are extremely competitive by the time they expand internationally.
For Domob, actually, we are a local company doing China business, but I want to share some information with you. First of all, in last year, all of Domob's impressions and the revenue sharing to publishers. Those publishers who based out of China contribute 1/3, which means we all share revenue for our Chinese traffic, but 1/3 of our traffic we share US dollars to those people, those developers who based in Silicon Valley maybe. And the second information is we start our video formats maybe last year, and we also work together with companies like Vango, Ad Colony, and LoopMe, of course. We already just established our business. And last year, we contribute #1 of Vango and Ad Colony's China traffic. I won't say the proportion, but we contribute most of their Chinese inventory monetization because a lot of global platforms, they have their SDKs and they have their global publishers with global traffic, especially on iOS. But most of them in China, they don't have better way to monetize, but we can help them. So we are Domob will look for more opportunities to work with global company to see what we can do together. That's why we welcome foreign companies coming to China.
Clement, just a second. Guys, yeah, can we have like 3 more minutes? We have some very interesting questions from the audience. 3? All right, someone? Yes? Okay, I'll take it as a yes.
All right, so I have more time then.
No, we have like very, the
No
test was
worry.
successful. We have questions from the audience.
Sorry, just teasing. So yeah, myself being in US for 21 years, and luckily I experienced from Greek Global, the Japanese largest game publisher in USA. It's acquisition from OpenFan, as Aurelie mentioned. So we do understand the player outside of China. So as therefore, Madhouse is actually, as Aurelie mentioned, right? So on app marketing, we help the Chinese game developer and publishers going out overseas, so outside of China, as we understand the channel partners and players outside of China better. So certainly by doing so, we see there's actually opportunity that we can leverage our strength. And what we see from ROI perspective, tie back to the theme, by the way, so from ROI perspective as well as user experience, and in sometimes, as we already mentioned, right, the purchase point as well as the lifetime value as well as the network level. But in another point that not necessary, if the user don't experience, if the user drop out the games, things we can learn from Silicon Valley is that we can actually doing prediction to do something that even the user don't experience. 假如有一些玩家，他们连用户体验都抛弃了，他们玩了几天就把这个游戏也不玩又不回来了。这个就没有 ROI. It's actually we do it. So if there's no ROI, we do ROJ. It was sort of a return of Jedi. So when we experiment in Greece, we're doing dropout predictions, and we are one of the first one to do that. So if the users don't experience on this game well in next couple of days, he's gonna drop out anyway, or she's gonna drop out anyway. We actually intelligently cross promote to some other game that they like. So looking at ROI in a different flavor that go beyond just for one game or one network, but it could be something else as well, just to tie back to the themes.
All right, so thanks. We will do a quick round of Q&A. I'll get a question from the audience and one answer, all right? So you'll choose who answers. Billy asks, any specific new user targeting methods developers should know about? Who wants to take it?
From an acquisition standpoint?
Apparently so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, but again, careful what you wish for, meaning that what really matters is whether the targeting that you do brings you the right kind of users, those users that engage and provide the right kind of ROI at scale. And so something that we really accompany our advertisers in is selecting how many targeting criteria they should really start out of the gate with. Because our system is intelligent, it's got some machine learning to it, you can actually cast a wider net at first, and based on the data, really optimize all the way down to the right kind of users for you, versus starting with a much smaller net that you might have a very hard time scaling. And actually, This is a very common issue when buying on a real-time basis. So a lot of advertisers that we know buying on DSPs have a big challenge that they are able to get a little bit of users from one source, but then not able to scale at a cost that works for them. So again, start with a little bit of a broader net, measure, react extremely fast, real-time basis. You should be able to predict your users' lifetime value within a few days using tools like Appsflyer, but also figuring out how to best utilize these tools so you can identify the right kind of KPIs that are going to predict your users' lifetime value very early on.
Yeah, just one very quick thing. Just the more you give, the more you will get. So the more that you let the knowledge that's inside tools like Appsflyer be passed back to the people who can use that to make decisions, the better results that you will get. So after the install, the more you let us know what's happening, the more results you will get.
I'm so happy. I'm going through an entire panel without chain plugging Appsflyer, and you guys are doing it perfectly, so thank you. One last question from Jerry. If a publisher have to decide between making off of advertisers or users, from their experience, can a publisher balance both in a game effectively? Clement, you want to take it?
Okay, so I'll just be the brave one then.
All right.
Well, first of all, the publisher here is the game publishers, not the media publishers, right? So typically, the definition here, as we already mentioned, the ROI tied to, it's not a fight between advertiser versus the game publisher or the users, right? It's actually how you can looking at from overall your particular game at your business portfolio at what stage of your investment is. If at this new game, you actually try to still pushing it, is for example, a social game that it's actually much larger user base is trying to go viral and getting more engagement, and then later on, might be a small percentage of them are well spender, but the majority of them you're actually driving towards your other game portfolio within your networks, right? So you should look at that particular game portfolio in such an investment goal versus another hardcore game that those are the game that you design, and especially at the late stage of the game, that you want to milk the cow in much of diverse and creative way. So the decision on deciding ROI is actually a business decision in such a way that we believe the game publisher, you guys know the best, and providing that guidance or that ratio to us at different stage. And for us from Madhouse or from different network partner, that try them all and then see which one can provide you ultimately the better ROI that fit to your goal that you define. So that's my point.
Actually, there are 3 types of game developers who can balance their in-app purchase revenue versus advertising revenue. The first kind of game developer is Rovio or EA Sports. They can get plenty of revenue from users, so they are very cautious to put advertising in their applications. The only choice for them is I only accept brand exposures, full screen or video, but I will make the fill rate less than 10% for my user experience. And the second type of game developer is very casual game developers, and they know that their user will not pay money for their application. So they put as many advertisers. Of course, they want to keep the users at the same time, and they provide another choice that pay some certain money to
in a purchase for remove ads.
To remove ads. And the last kind of game developer is in the middle of both. They have network SDKs, or they use SSPs to accept advertisings, and they control the fill rate themselves. And at the same time, they can monetize money from users. But it's their choice of balancing or keep on testing to see which kind of revenue they rely on most in the future. So they adjust.
Like everything in the world, the vast majority are in the middle somewhere. Okay, we had one more question, but we're out of time. So Miss Lee should go, I think, to Steven. It's a question about video ads. So you can go to Steven directly after the panel and ask him himself.
Can I just say one thing?
Okay.
This is an advertising panel. One quick ad for LoopMe. We are hiring currently in Beijing. So if you would like to work with LoopMe, please get in touch with me via my website, loopme.com, or to my WeChat, which is Stephen Upstone. Sorry
This
for
is
that.
native video.
Yes.
That was native, yes. Oh, we have 1 minute left. Yeah, let's talk. I think we're out of time. So let's ask Miss Lee's question. It's your lucky day, Miss Lee. Does video ads performance higher than image or text ads? What's the number?
Yes.
Oh, that's a good question.
Yes, we ran an exact replacement recently with a native video ad, and we saw 400% better lift comparing the same users with the same ads that were native static versus native video. And actually, the conversion rate was the difference. So the click-through rate was not much higher, but the conversion rate was 3 or 4 times higher. So video gives you the, if you like, the conviction to actually finish the conversion funnel. So 400% is the number that we've seen. When you add video brand ads, it goes up to 600%. So that's what we've seen data.
So, Miss Lee, I hope you got your answer. So,
I want to
one last thing.
add 2 factors about video ads. The number 1 factor is how to define incentivized and non-incentivized. That's a tricky thing for our brand advertisers often, right? The second thing is, I think one barrier today about video ads promotion is who provides you the creative, who make the video, the 30-second video for the advertiser. Yeah.
That's a very big problem right now for video ads, the creative.
Yes. So those 2 factors is very important for us to promote this industry turning to video ads. But I believe it takes some time, but we can solve that and to make the industry bigger.
Okay, we're running in 10 minutes, but I had very fun for me. So thank you, Simon, Aurelie, Stephen, Clement. Thank you for listening. Also, shameless plug. In the end, we are also hiring in Beijing, so you can come check us out in the VIP lounge. We can talk with our local team. Raise your hand. Thank you all. Thank you, GMGC, and have a great weekend, I would say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
好。